This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. This is flyer number 124, entitled Should MGTOW/Masculists Tway with Fluffies? Description. This flyer discusses the question whether MGTOW/Masculist should tolerate having a tway, that's 2A equals 2 apartment, relationship with a fluffie. What are the pros and cons? Now for the flyer itself. Should a MGTOW/Masculist tway with a fluffie? This title needs some explanation, even to people who have read most of my MGTOW/Masculist flyers. My first thought for the title was, should a MGTOW/Masculist tway-twef with a fluffie? But that would be an oxymoron. An oxymoron is like two words that are mutually contradictory, like skinny obesity. Because the very definition of tway-tweffing is that the woman, a FIP, MGTOW/Masculist tway-twefs with, is a FIP. That is, not just 2 apartments, but also 2 FIPs. So tway-twef became simply tway. That is, 2A equals 2 apartments. So twaying is just a relationship where the man and the woman have their own apartment each, but with no emphasis on the idea that the woman should be a FIP, financially independent person. The motivation behind the title came from a devil's advocate type question. If the couple have their own apartment each, then if the woman is a fluffie, a traditional woman who expects to be able to parasite off a man's money, does that matter much to the twaying man? You could argue that the answer is no, because if the woman starts putting pressure on the man to give her money, then he can simply dump her, the way a tway-tweffing man could do with his FIP girlfriend. So is there any point in making the distinction between FIP and fluffy status for the girlfriend? Discussing this question is what this flyer is about. That is, talking about the pros and cons of twaying versus tway-tweffing. That is, insisting or not insisting on the woman being a FIP. So there seems to be 2 possibilities, 2 viewpoints here. So I'll take both points of view and try to justify them both, starting with twaying, that is, where the girlfriend is a fluffie. If the MGTOW/Masculist sees women largely as vaginas, as sex objects, then it doesn't matter much whether he tways or tway-twefs. A hole is a hole. When the woman starts behaving like a fluffie, putting pressure on him to have a baby or to give her money, or starting to behave like a child, not taking responsibility for her life, nagging, playing the blame game, etc., then he can quickly dump her because she has her own apartment. So I can imagine there are a lot of MGTOW/Masculists are so pissed off with women, they see women only as cunts in the literal sense, and in many cases, both. To such men, they may operate on a policy of pump and dump at a relatively high frequency, with all the risks of getting an STD, that's a sexually transmitted disease, that having many sex partners implies, which is always the downside of rapid pumping and dumping. The other big downside with twaying is the respect issue. If the MGTOW/Masculist is a real FIP and accepts as his main life focus that women should be FIPs and be responsible adults, then even a few weeks or months with a fluffie may be painful, even if the sex is good and exciting due to its newness. The weeks or months during which the relationship sours due to the contempt that the man has towards the woman because of her fluffy attitudes make for an unpleasant fraction of his time. If a man is spending, let's say, a quarter of his time in the negative portion of the relationship, then that's a lot, which could be avoided to a large extent by tway-tweffing. Tway-tweffing will give the man a higher chance of him respecting the woman, who by definition is a FIP. She will be much more adult and responsible, behaving much more as an adult, not nagging him as much, if at all, and certainly will not badger him to spend money on her. So the tway-tweffing MGTOW/Masculist is likely to have a better quality relationship with the FIP woman than the fluffie. There is also the consideration of the after effect, that is, what happens after the man dumps the woman. A fluffy is probably more likely to feel she's a victim, has been wronged by the man, than will a fit woman. Fluffy women are more likely to have child minds, putting the blame of their condition on anyone else but themselves. So the man may get more flack, perhaps even legal flack, meaning criticism, from a fluffy than a fit woman. That possibility should not be discounted. But you may say a fit woman and a fluffy are both women and are genetically programmed to want kids, especially when their biological clocks are ticking in their 30s. So the man needs to take certain basic precautions, that is, always use a condom, so that he cannot be lied to by a woman, fluffy or fip, that she's taking the pill, who is desperate to have a baby while she still can in the last few years of her fertility window. The man should also quickly flush the condom down the toilet so his sperm is gone and cannot be sperm jacked by a criminally dishonest woman, who then may force a paternity suit on him. When it comes to having a kid, women are not to be trusted. Another aspect of a tway-twef relationship is the possibility of greater compatibility. A man who tways just for the sex may be prepared to sex a woman who is very fuckable, with lovely curves and a grippy, creamy cunt, but looks down on her for her lower IQ, class, status, etc., and hence not benefit from a relationship with a fit woman who's more likely to be his match, that is, compatible with him, sharing basic attitudes, particularly regarding fipdom, that is, feeling the moral obligation for a woman to pull her financial weight and not parasite on a man. A fit woman will probably be brighter than a fluffy, simply because she is fit. She probably selected herself in wanting to have her own career and got a decent education to do that, etc. A smarter woman, so long as she's not 5+ IQ points smarter than him, will probably be more interesting and compatible for him. Brackets. Actually, research shows that if the IQ gap within a couple is over 5 IQ points, then the relationship usually dies. People are highly sensitive to their partner's IQ. Personally, I can't suffer fools. If a woman is an ignorant, illogical idiot, she is quickly out the door for me. I would prefer to tway-twef than tway. Sex is just a few hours, and then what? What do you talk about? If the woman is truly thick, although deliciously curvy, then boredom will set in fast. I cannot pretend to be interested in her female prattle about her clothes, shoes, previous boyfriends, next trip, etc. Now, if she could talk in an informed way about ideas, if she read serious books, then I'd be a lot more interested. But truly thinking females are rare, unfortunately. So many decades ago, I resigned myself to the bitter reality that feminism was incapable of making women, in quotes, interesting. That is, really worth talking with, having a stimulating, interesting, engaging, informative conversation with, the way I do with my few male friends whose intellects I really respect. I rarely have that experience with women. For me, women are truly the inferior sex. So in my book, the closest to ever getting to a mind-fucking relationship with a woman would be to tway-twef. Twaying alone would be a non-starter for me. I couldn't tolerate sticking my dick in a cunty fool. That would be passionless. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name de GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. Ciao.